Just double check that it gets there. Fingers crossed.
It does say live on Facebook at the top of my screen, so I can.
Oh, does it? That's good.
That's a good sign.
It's a good sign, isn't it? Come on, Facey. Hate how it doesn't show me instantly as well. Let me just double check it's on there.
Because it won't co-regulate with you. It's choose you.
Tech doesn't want to play ball with me often. Yes, we are there. Okay. So I'm back into here. So beautiful, Dasha. I have you here having a chat with me about what your experience of Embark has been and your time that we've had together in the last 8 months or so. So I would love for you to just start with who you are, what magnificence you do in the world, where people can find you. And then I would personally love to hear how you entered the space of Embark and how you've exited the space of the Embark and what has happened through there.
My arc of Embark.
Yeah. You are a poet? Yes.
I am getting there, stepping into more ownership of it, I think, which has actually been one of the many ripple effects of this wonderful arc. So I'm Dasha Clarke, and here I continue with the bloody rhymes. Dasha Clarke with the arc.
What do you do in the world?
I dance and I love and I hold space. So I am a hip hop dancer. I dance with a big plastic circle, and I hold circle medicine sessions for women, which is online women's circles. And I also have stepped into my role as an intimacy and embodiment muse, because it never ceases to amaze me how much wisdom and wonder lies within the body and how prevalent that disconnection is with women in particular, but I think as a whole in society. So that in itself is what drew me, magnetized me to you and your energy in the world. And I'd been following along for a while, and before I connected with you, besides just being a creepy social stalker, I'm live on the internet.
This is life, isn't it?
This is life. Hi. Thank you. I'll go through them soon. My mum has currently popped over to give some parenting relief.
Aww.
Her love language is gift giving. So she's like, oh, here, take this. I know you're in the middle. Just quickly take this. And speaking of gifts, I found your presence to be a gift in the world. And I knew that there was going to be a way that we would work together, would connect in with you, but I didn't know what. Yeah, so I've just been admiring from the backgrounds the work that you do, and really your perspective in particular when it comes to intimacy and relationship work, which was my background coming from doula and family work, was just very resonant for me, which, you know, resonance is energetic intelligence. So something that was just super intelligent and drawn to that. And I had a lot of personal blocks as to why I wasn't stepping into that work in a bigger way myself.
It's a big thing though, isn't it? I often think that, like, even you can have the drop in where you go, okay, I know this is my work in the world, and then it's almost like you've got to clean out everything that's in the way of that before you can really step into it. It's almost like you get the calling, but then there's like this process before it's embodied, and you're like,
right? Yeah. And that's the last place that it drops and makes sense in the body. And so that was sort of, when you put out the things for Embark, I felt that in my body. I was like, oh, I couldn't
remember
in my head, because I wasn't running women's circles at the time, and I didn't believe that I had any intention of doing so. I was running them when I began doing doula training a few years back in person, just some local mother groups trying to pull some women together. But I had it never had any structure or form or muse or guidance on it, you know, and I didn't even consider there to really be a formula and into it. So there was always, like, I guess, a missing piece that stopped from feeling complete in that work, or like it was really aligned. I just sort of, entrepreneurship, I think, is so different to business. So for the last few years of entrepreneurship is just about discovery, I think, and not so much about success and whatever. So my entrepreneur journey took me through all of this stuff and led me to, hypnotized me to your work, and I couldn't see the pieces together, but I knew I needed to be in Embark, and I knew that even the price tag for it for me was, who has a lot of money issues, as like I knew that was my work this year as well. Like I felt like a lot of my masculine traits needed to be worked on, and what was available in my community and my online spaces was a lot of feminine embodiment work. And I just love clarity and the dance between the two that I saw you embody and live, and not just preach online. You know, I see big, beautiful concepts with your big family, and all of the big things come with having a big family, and inspiring. And especially being someone who has been on a solo tantra journey for the last few years, there's not a lot of family essence in that world.
No, there's not.
No. Be able to integrate these really beautiful philosophies in a family dynamic was probably ultimately what drew me to you. So
I remember having these conversations with you because we were like, yeah, it's so fascinating, isn't it? Because there's that missing from that community, the family aspect and what that looks like. And the other part that's missing is the concept that you have to have two sames to make it work. So you have to have a partner who's,
and headbutt brick walls if I saw one more couple in matching barley talking.
Yes.
Like my husband's face when I'm doing some pranayama work, he's like, no, there's such an importance in that polarity, and so,
isn't there? Yeah.
And I think even symbolism in that I find in the way that I dance with my hula hoop, of having this really solid,
which you just magic at. I actually find myself in a trance watching you. You talk about creepy on social media. I'm like, oh, Dasha's dancing.
It was doing Embark that gave me permission to do something that felt really, really scary to say initially. And that was that because I know that how we make people feel is so important, and they may forget what we say and what we do and blah, blah, but how we make them feel is remembered and has impact and influence. And I remember thinking to myself, like, I want to seduce people with my presence. I want to leave a space with people having felt like they had just been in this joyful, pleasurable zone, like orgasmic without the sex. That felt really taboo to say, and really scary, and I didn't understand it. And a lot of the work I did in Embark around integrity and energetic play, it just was like drop.
Yeah, I could see that.
Drop. And I was like, oh, there's,
it's landed.
And it was having that shared space is what, because I think there's so many layers of with that, wanting to really own that part of ourselves. And so being in a space that was safe to share, like that dissipates shame, when we can speak out and it's collective, when it's not in the shadows and hidden, like then we're able to be liberated from it, from the layers of it. And that was what Embark offered for me. And I often think to myself that I don't get as involved in the groups that I'm in as I would like to. Like, I'm not engaging in the groups, like soul-driven motherhood I love and find so valuable, but I very rarely am interactive in that space. But the thought of even canceling my membership is not even a thought. Like, it's too much value for me. So when you started Embark with the premise of, you know, I'm not about how you take this. Like, I share what's valuable and you will take what you need, how you need, use it how you need it, and make it your own. Like, that in itself was like, oh, like, I don't need to be anything other. And that's perfect. It was great. It was really, really
because it allows the space for transformation, doesn't it? Because it allows you to, yeah, it's like that real, it's even like a dance, I imagine. Not that I'm a dancer, but I watch you and think it's this commitment to the moment to moment. What's next that's coming and blooming, and what's next? And yeah.
Not thinking, oh, okay, well, how are you actually going to pay this course off? And what are you actually going to do with the information that you get from how is this going to benefit your business, and what's the return of investment, and all of, you know, the logic side of things. And I don't know, but I know that this is important, and I know that it ties into all of the areas that I feel are incomplete within me. So I just had something come up for me then. I can remember talking with you, having a hot seat moment with you in Soul Driven Motherhood last year, when I was in a pretty foggy place. And it was very much tied into. Did you just get
live? Yes.
Like, I'd been stuck in this role, care and nurture, and that's why I knew I had this like incomplete masculine cycle that needed to be ran through, but I had no idea how to do it. And I was at the point where I was like, I'm getting sick of my own bullshit. Like, I can see this pattern that I've been playing out for years and years and years, and I've had enough of it. And it didn't drop for me. I keep on coming back to this. Like, it was then that I knew I needed to do that work. And then in the first week of starting Embark, I set the biggest, hardest boundary I've ever set in my entire life, where I literally completely just disconnected from all of the responsibility I'd taken on for caring for somebody else, and just went, that's not mine to carry. That is not mine to carry. And it was massively huge for me to do so. You know, I was caring for my mother-in-law, and it was big work. And, you know, I was doing it because no one else was doing it. So to even if no one else does it, I still need to be okay not doing it, because it's not my job, it's not my role, it's not my weight to carry. Was really fucking big work.
That's massive. You can swear.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah. Good, because
it's massive.
Yeah, but that was a year ago. We had that conversation, and I was really just like, I don't know. I can know that I'm doing this, but I don't know why I'm doing it. And then when it started Embark, I was like, oh, because I need to run this, like, it's like this inner father almost in me. It's like the discipline, which I learned is not about punishment. It's about devotion and practice. And
yes, discipline is devotion. Yes.
And that was me too. One, there was no obligation of expect to show up in that space, or even what the cycle was going to be, just this embodied trust of it, and knowing that it started with me always. I wasn't coming for you to give me a manual on how to help other women. I was coming to you to embody and integrate the stuff that I wanted to ripple out from me, not in this toxic hierarchy thing, in this really delicious, beautiful, mutual, continuous circular motion, because like that's all what it
things.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's totally that. And there's so much I love about what you say all of the time, but I just adore that, because that's what it should be, isn't it? Whatever healing space we create and open, is that it's about the completion of offering the completion for that woman. So she does it, they do their own magic when you just offer just that, like, it's
And like, as you know, I signed up for the payment plan, and I knew that that in itself.
You're amazing. And COVID happened. Like, it's been a crazy year.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But it was like, to meet that, you know, when the first payment I think I made like 2 payments, and then I declined on the third. And I was like, oh, you know, that very familiar crack. Yeah. Debt financial past, ancestral crap.
It was like a real meeting of that, wasn't it?
Yeah. And it was gaining all of these skills to practice through the course that I was able to really apply through that, and not just in that way, like okay, trusting that I can do this, trusting that I have what I need within me and around me to rise to meet this, and it doesn't have to look exactly how I thought it was going to look, or how like it was on paper, the scheduled payments and the scheduled dates. Like when I messaged you mirroring, like holding my breath, like it almost felt like trying not to be in that pity myself zone.
Yeah.
And you just responded with like, it's fine. It's fine. I'm not worried about it. And you shouldn't be either. And I was like, oh, again, that.
I remember that because I actually thought when I received that, I mean, because that's also been my story as well, is, as you know, have come from a, poverty, scarcity driven lineage. So it's a lot of work to move that stuff. And so there was part of me that registered that pain and went, fuck, I know that. Like, and how much healing is there in, this is why the wounded healer is so important, right? Is because you don't want to be the untouchable goddess. You want to be the relatable one that goes, fuck, yeah, I know that. I know that. And I also know it's bullshit and you can do it and we will work this out. And I loved that. I was like, it's not, I don't even feel a thing in my body that's like, I thought it's so, I knew the courage it would take, because you could have chosen to withdraw into shame and disappear.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. So instead, I saw this woman who was in total ownership and went, so there's this, and here's where I'm at, and I want to check in with where you're at. And I was like, I mean, that's the pinnacle of self-ownership for me. And I was, humbled in that moment. I went, yeah, of course, we'll just fucking make this work. Like it'll be,
reflection, like that's me integrating wisdom
100%.
and returning it back to you for the gift that it fucking was to me also. Like so beautiful. And even like
that moment, I want you to know I felt honored and beautiful in. I didn't feel any level of that was weird in any way. I was just like, no, that energy feels amazing. So I already know in that moment you've gone like that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was big. It was really big for me. And and there was like that weird point where I did my maths wrong. I was like, I paid the last one. No, you haven't. So it was, again, like,
but you did it.
When the universe gives you that chance, and you're like, okay, how much do you believe this, and how much is this?
How much can you back yourself?
Yeah. How much can you back yourself? And the way that my personal life presented me with opportunities to integrate and practice every single thing from Embark was, I do not know how I would have navigated this year without the skills that I learned from Embark. Like, I had no intention of running women's circles 8 months ago, and I have ran an online women's circle every single month since signing up from Embark. And
has it just got more and more powerful,
and more delicious and more and more powerful. I've even now just created a membership group so I can circulate not just one. You know what? Pleasure and ritual are important. I want to do this regularly. In this way that's like, I've got this good stuff, let me circulate it. You take what works for you, what doesn't work for you, off your own with. And it's like, yeah, I've just it's tapped in almost now. So I'm jumping to the end of the arc.
I just think it's consolidated is what I hear. It's like, I love that part where you were like, I had all of these pieces, but it's like none of the strings were like brought down. And it's like you opened up this space and it like went, oh. And then that just looks like alignment.
And that was the first lesson that you taught us about like clearing the channel, that it's not about working it out and figuring it out. It's about the discipline of having practices that keep you clear and therefore open to what is true and right for you, and if that's closed or foggy or distracted, or you're holding other people's stuff, then you don't know. and you'll always be stuck up here trying to put puzzle pieces together that are just floating around in the air. So that was, yeah, powerful to just go, like, watch them slowly drop in because them, yeah, like I was doing the work and waiting for them to drop, not this hustle. What's the solution? Answer. What's the algorithm?
It was embodied.
Yeah, right. And just, yeah, so that was huge for me. And I think there's also this misconception I had for a really long time that embodiment and spirituality, because I think that's tantra, that it was really common in the spiritual community, if you will, for a label
To be embodied, do you mean?
Yeah, but it's not.
No,
it's
not when you really understand what it is.
This is to amaze me. Like, I've got lots of beautiful boho hippie mamas who, and like
we float in similar circles.
The whole concept of like, emotional processing through the body, and even just like of like emotional intelligence about like not judging what comes through your body, of like understanding that even if this doesn't make sense of it, like there's such an innate wisdom and intelligence to it, and our job is to just feel that. And that, yeah, it just blows my mind so much how many people are like, whoa, about that. So it was really affirming. It's like, okay, cool, this is freaking work in the world, because that feels so natural and like, to me.
And how delicious is that? Yeah. And instead of you going like, this is hard work and blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
Like, no, it's like literally walk around like this, and people are like, give me some of that. So it feels good. Yeah.
So I think you've nailed magnetism.
Yes, and that was on my vision board from Amplify at the start of the year, was that when I reveal my heart's truth, it is magnetic. And so to continuously come back to that was, yeah, and I'm really like, I've magnetized so much. So I have paid off Embark. I also paid off my Hoopla training. I also, because I'm not doing this in a constricted way, I am doing this in an integrated, sovereign, delicious way that I can feel proud about afterwards. I was making sure that I was not scrimping, and I was, if I can pay a little bit there at this time, I will. And if I'm going to buy myself a treat because I'm proud of what I did there. And so it was like paying debts, but also acknowledging, celebrating myself. So, and every time I did that, something would come in. So there was always this like, and I did the little dances, every time the PayPal would go by.
PayPal pings.
More of this. Yes, please. More.
I know. Thank you, universe.
The kids are in it. They know it now. And I'm doing yes, please. More of this. Yes, please. More of this.
How good is that?
It feels so good.
So good. Can I just pin that just for a minute? Because I wonder if you're comfortable in sharing that you have a child with additional needs as well.
Yeah.
So in the mix of being a mum, can you just talk about the dynamic and how that gets to be integrated with your work rather than something that's in contention with it?
Yeah. It gets to be integrated because it doesn't, that whole ownership of my energy and the space that I hold and the effects and influence that has around me and people around me is especially important when we're in caregiving roles, I think, that are extra demanding. So, and this has been something I'm hyper aware of in the last 4 years of motherhood with my youngest, who's 4, to not lose myself in the caregiver role, and to not impose my story onto him of what I think his story is, So, and I think letting him be my teacher as well, like the way that it's really helped is dance and this polarity of integration, of knowing that everything is in relationship. Like it's not this hierarchy, and that includes even, I believe it applies to parenthood, that I'm not his mother and caregiver and he's my son down here. We're in relationship, something deeply that offer each other. Like, like my heart and my head could very easily go some very dark, sad places or some hard places, but I get to be here now in the moment with him, dealing and being responsive to what is happening right here, not what could happen over there or anything else. So in some ways, he's brought me to the present moment, and all of the work that I've done for myself personally has helped me stay in that present moment. Because I think that's hard for any of us to do, really, but that's being present here right now, not running away.
And has that amplified your capacity then to hold space and work with people and be in business? Like, can you see how your family, the skills you learn in family and intimacy interplay into what you learn in the work that you do?
Oh yeah, for sure. Again, I guess come back to that whole consistency thing of, it reminds me that motherhood's not consistent, it's not consistent, relationships are not consistent. So that's why it is this constant energetic dance, and coming back to the reality of, am I behaving in a way that I want to be? What am I playing in this relationship? And if like my business is not going well, what part am I playing in this dynamic? And and really trying to remember that nothing is ever like in front of me because it's trying to be in my way. And because that's the thing attached to the way that I think something should look and be and go. And then if we're like that, if we're attached to the story of the way something is supposed to be, we're going to be reactive to anything that gets in the way of that and detours us from that, rather than, again, coming back to being responsive about it, which is, I think, necessary in entrepreneurship when you're working with women and relationships. Like, there's no structure, there's no manual point, step-by-step instructions. You've got to be responsive and know what energy is being called from you in any given situation and taking responsibility. It's really triggering, I think, in motherhood and relationships especially for me in particular. Like, that's where my higher value lies. Parenthood is my top 3 values, which surprises a lot of people, which is why I invest in support systems like Soul-Driven Motherhood, because it's not my go-to nerd out personal development avenue. It is, and as narcissistic as it sounds, I am. So the more self-aware I am, I see how I am able to take a lot more responsibility in where I show up and how I show up, because I'm hyper aware of how I want to be and how I want to feel and the type of imprint that I want to leave.
That's so powerful, isn't it? Because none of our top values in any of us can be judged. They're there to be completely purposeful. What you're saying is you're using your skill set or the gold that you find inspiring innately in your top values, and it's filtering into the other areas of life and empowering them. Yeah.
Yes. So it's not, I'm not enough in this area. It's just that seeing how
we've lost you on camera. There you are. Got you.
Yeah. I might have to plug my phone in. Just realizing where we are. Like, I used to have this thing about being, I'm not disciplined enough because I'm not having a work schedule and planning things out and doing them by certain times, and I kept failing at doing that, so therefore I don't have any discipline. But I think it might have been you that pointed out to me that actually I am very disciplined, because my personal development work and the way that I show up and take care of myself with my exercise and my mindfulness and my breath work and my embodiment practices, like, that's
very
devotion.
Disciplined. Yeah.
So to see that in a new light and go, oh, I do have that skill. It's like judging a cat by against a fish by its ability to swim. Yeah. So it's like, oh, I'm
totally. That's values. Yeah.
So which I think was something I picked up more from you in
Soul-Driven Motherhood. Yeah.
Values and wholeness too, like widening into see the bigger picture of it all. But to come back to your point of like, how does it feed into my relationship and parenthood, is that they're not separate. Like, they're not separate. And that's where I think business and entrepreneurship are different, is because I don't want something that's separate to me. I don't want a different entity, a different it's like, it's this embodied muse, like muse, which that's the word that worked really well within me, of leading by example, not telling anybody, and those who will and desire to be inspired by me will be. and they'll then integrate it in their own magical way. So
totally, that's a Shakti transmission, and that definitely comes across the screen from you. Tell me why you think hoop dancing is important.
Because I think that it's a really playful way to combine mind-body connection and presence, because we need to really be present in our body when we're trying to combine those two, and to do things playfully, I think, allows our body to feel safe. Play is really, really powerful, and I think for many adults nowadays in this generation, we're kind of robbed of childhoods. Many of us didn't really get to have the fun, joyful, free childhood that we all deserved, and so a lot of us have some inner children that would really love to just spending time without real purpose, without assessment. There's no right or wrong, and to do that in a way that I think is movement, like dance. No, who doesn't love dancing? Who doesn't love music? There's magic and medicine in both of those things.
There certainly is.
Flower child hippie heart talking, but I think music can save the world.
I think so too. I think so too. It's a vibrational healing at the end of the day, isn't it?
And using the hoop, I think it almost feels like a dance partner, because I think so many women shared with me that they might feel very strange to just to dance, just to move their body can feel very strange to if it's not something that they're like comfortable in. And the hoop is almost safety to explore that. And I really love symbolism a lot with it, like the endlessness of a circle, and the fact that you are in the center of it, that it is this boundary, and that you're only responsible for what's inside of that and nothing outside of that, and you're only responsible for what comes to you, don't go seeking for it. So yeah, there's endless symbolism for it and endless things that you can do with it. So the fact that so many people go, I can't hold it, I go, let me prove to you that you can, because I got 1,000,001 tricks to show you, and I promise you that you can do at least one of them that makes you think you can hula hoop.
Yeah.
When you do that, you get a move right, and you get this little boost in your body, because it builds up that confidence in your body to go, oh, I can learn something new, and I can do something tricky and challenging, fun. So yeah. But I think most of us don't put challenge and fun together.
No, most of us don't.
But it's hooping, I think, is very... So there's sort of two aspects to it. This whole circus theme aspect to it of learning tricks, and which feeds into a lot of circus therapy, play therapy as well, of building up confidence in the body. And it's like a mantra, a movement mantra for the body of, I can do this. And I like to get really, really goofy and give quite entertaining commentary when I'm giving tutorials on tricks, because I think that the more novel something is, the more likely we are to remember it as well. Yeah. So really silly, and I don't mind making a goof of myself at all, because if people are laughing, then that's enough for me. Like, I will sacrifice any self-esteem ego I have for the laughter medicine of all. And yeah, I take myself seriously. And so there's that whole aspect, the circus play therapy, but then there's also the aspect of ways to do happening, something about that that's really in tune with like chakra and like chakra activation. I found personally, and I don't know if that might be a little bit too woo-woo for your right.
Well, it depends where you're going to concentrate the energy, doesn't it? The focus. Yeah.
Womb energy. Yeah. So, I mean, if anyone's familiar with the terms of like,
I think we've got a few connection issues.
Spiraling activation of energy, right? I think so too.
Yeah, I think our sound's just being a bit of an issue, but that's okay. What I wondered is before we wrap up, two things. What would you say to women who are thinking about or looking about Embark, about what it is? Because I always have trouble explaining, because it enters as,
Yeah.
yes, it will serve you in these 3 core ways of what we look at, but really what it does is it's a self-mastery process that I know opens up whatever space in your world that needs to open up. But do you have trouble making that arc of understanding? So I just wonder if there's anything you wanted to share about that, and then where we can find you.
Yeah, no, I hear you. It's always tricky to sort of explain that when it's actually quite such a varied, it's really such a varied offering. And it really, I think when you said it's like this self-mastery thing, that's probably more of a nail on the head, but it's this self-mastery for the benefit of being in service of others, you know? So, and I think that was the feeling that I was magnetized to, that I knew that this was going to help me have the energetic integrity and self-mastery that I needed to show up and do my work in the world. Because I know that was truly what was always holding me back from doing it, was something not being taken care of in here. Yeah, like it wasn't always these external circumstances. So if you're feeling like that, if you feel magnetized to Julie in any way, like honor that wisdom and that intelligence and that resonance, because you don't have to make sense of it. If you feel it, follow it, and it will drop, and it will land.
That's soul medicine. If you feel it, follow it. Yeah. And where can we connect with your work and find you?
So I'm just on Instagram mostly. I'm pretty active and engage with over there, and that's very simple, just at Dasha Clarke. You can also find me on my website, where I do one-on-one or group hoop classes, and that's www.dashaclarke.com. It's such a long sentence to say. And so I do one-on-one hoops. I also do online women's circles every month, and I run a monthly program where we do a pleasure practice, a ritual exploration, and a hoop class each month. So if you're curious about any of those things and you just want to come and ask questions about Embark, come and send me a message on Instagram.
Oh, thank you. I actually do really want to do a hoop class and I thought my daughter and I could do it together. So are you running online hoop classes? Yeah, I just need to actually make it to the website. It's me.
Yeah. And I'm just going to be a little bit more, and you will in your own divine timing. Yeah, like it's always on that list of things, and you'll get to it.
Anyway, we are coming.
The world's full of juicy things.
Thank you so much for being here, beautiful woman. It's such a divine gift to watch you sprinkle magic in the world. I adore it. And I adore watching you on Facebook. I'm like, please just like do not like burlesque, but like a stage-esque style. I'm like, oh, I just come to
I can't wait to COVID. I need a stage. And you know how good it feels to actually do that? Like I keep saying to my husband, I want a stage. I want a stage, damn it.
Yeah, you should be on the stage. That magnetism in you, out it goes. Yeah, you should be. It's magic. So thank you so much. I will see you online. Thank you for being here.
Bye, darling. Thank you so much.